Welcome to this new video. This time we're going to continue talking about Metasploit fundamentals, and this is video number 3 of our series. The first video we covered what Metasploit is not, and what it is usually used for. We also went over a couple of key terms, exploit vulnerabilities, payloads that are very important for you to understand as you're going to be using Metasploit. Then on the second video, we talked about modules because that's how Metasploit is created, right? You have the configuration in different modules, and we went over the different modules that are available in Metasploit. We have the exploit, payloads, post, aux, encoder, naps, and evasion. And let me, if we come here to the MSF console, let me make this a little bit bigger. So zoom in. Okay. So if we're here, let me clear the screen, and then I'm gonna do banner. I just wanted to show you that as soon as you log in, I'm sure that you have seen this, to Metasploit, you're gonna see the information about the different modules. And again, we went over what modules are and what they do, and they're just basically categories for functions of Metasploit. And when it comes to exploits, we have over 2,000 modules, and aux we have over 1,000, and you can see it right here. What we're gonna do today, we're gonna go over databases, but most importantly, we're gonna go over workspaces. Now, as you can imagine, when you're using Metasploit, you're going to be collecting a lot of information, and that information needs to reside somewhere. It just so happens that it's going to reside in a database in your system, and if you're using Kali Linux, Metasploit is going to be using PostgreSQL database to store all that information. As I mentioned in one of the earlier videos, if you're using Kali Linux, Metasploit is already installed and configured for you. You don't have to do anything. But if you're installing this from scratch, you do have to, if you don't have a PostgreSQL, you have to install it, and you have to create a database and connect to it and initialize it. So maybe I'll create a video for that at another time, or I'll create a video on how to install Metasploit on Kali Linux if you don't have it installed. But for this video, we are assuming that it's already installed and configured. So let's concentrate on today's topic, which is databases and workspace. So you understand the concept of databases, right? It's a repository to maintain and organize all the information you're going to be collecting. And in this case, we have, one database that we're connected to. If we do db status, it's going to show you that we are connected already to the PostgreSQL database. And if you do the help command right from the MSF prompt, right, if you just type help, you're going to notice that you're going to get help on the different options that you're going to have within Metasploit. And one of those options is the database backend commands, right? So we're going to be talking about hosts, we're going to be talking about services, but this is all the information you're going to be collecting in the database. So let me come here. Now, let's talk about workspaces for 1 second, right? And that's what I wanted to bring right here. Workspaces are, as the name implies, a workspace that you're going to create to organize the work that you're going to be performing within Metasploit. Let me give you an example that is going to help you understand this concept. If you are let's say, a consultant, or if you are a security engineer for your organization and you are testing your network, as you can imagine, the network is going to have different subnets. Maybe it's going to have different physical locations, or it's going to be distributed in different ways. So when you are collecting information for one specific network, you want to make sure that information is organized in a way that when you go to another location or when you go to another network, that information is going to be separate from the other. So you're not going to get, if you're going to start running scans, uh, on different companies, they're all going to go to one centralized database on one centralized location, and you don't want that. You want to separate the, the work that you're doing, and that's what a workspace is. Pretty much, it's a way for you to organize your work. Right, you're going to have individual quote unquote drawers where you're going to collect all that information and save it in there. So if I type the command workspace, not there. Let me just, okay. Let me come here. Let me go workspaces. Actually, it's workspace. So you are gonna see, let me just type the command workspace minus H. You're gonna see options for that specific command. And in there, you're gonna be able to add, delete, list your workspaces, rename them, search them, and see detailed information about them, verbose information. So if you just type the command workspaces, that's going to show you the workspaces that you have. If you have not created anything, the default workspace is going to be default, right? As you could see right here, it defaults to it. But you can create more workspaces by typing workspace space minus A and the name of the workspace. Let's say New York, right? And then, ooh, I type two because no spaces, my bad. So if I do workspaces, you're gonna see that I have my New York workspace and the two workspaces that were created by mistake. I have New and York. So in this case, let me just delete them. And now if I list them, I'm gonna be right here. So something to keep in mind is that every time that you create a workspace, that automatically is going to become your workspace at that specific time. So just keep that in mind, especially if you're going to be running scans for different workspaces or different networks that you want to keep separate. So, okay, so you create a workspace, but in reality, what do you have there? Well, you don't have anything when you create it. You have to start populating your workspace. Now, how do you populate data in your workspaces? Well, you do it by collecting information using Nmap. Now, if you use Nmap, you're going to see, let me just do it right here. So let me come here, and I'm going to run Nmap on one individual host. So you're going to see that it identified a host, right? Like, and it said, you know what? Yeah, the host is up. So, but if I do host, which is another command, I don't have anything populated here in my host list within my workspace. Now, let me show you something. I'm going to switch workspaces. Uh, okay, if I can type, that'll help a lot. So I'm going to switch over to main office, and I'm going to do host. And you're going to see that on this workspace, I already have a list of hosts that have been added to it. But I added this list of hosts by running an nmap command, but not just using the regular nmap command, but using the database version of nmap, if I can say that. So I'm gonna switch over to New York, and as you could see, if I do host, nothing in here, but if I do dv space nmap, all the results of the nmap command are gonna be added to my workspace database. So if I do nmap and I'm just gonna do again one host. So like I move faster, 172.16.5, 230, 212, and I'm gonna do minus oh, right. I'm gonna hit enter, so that's gonna run that command. This is to identify the operating system. Then I'm gonna come here, and as you could see, it added that host to my database in my workspace. Now, why don't I have the other information as you can see here on these columns? Yeah, it's kind of sucks. So you're gonna have to run this a couple of times and get different switches for nmap. So you start populating that, and you can actually add this manually if you want. But what's the point of doing that manually, right? So that's what you can do with nmap. So what I'm gonna do now, let me just do this, and I'm gonna pause the video. Then I'll like restart the video once it's complete. I'm gonna run a scan to my entire local network. Oh, I didn't mean that. Okay. And that way it's going to collect all that information that I need. And then you'll see how this is going to be populated. But I'm going to do it with service detection. And this is going to take some time. So I'm going to pause the video and I'll be back whenever this is done. Okay, so my scan finished. It took maybe like 5 to 10 minutes to complete. So as you can see now, if I do hosts in here, you're gonna see that my workspace has been populated with the information that was collected during the scan. Again, as you can see, we're still missing some relevant information. I don't care much about the name or, you know, the OS name, but these other fields, you have to run other commands within nmap to collect that information and for that information to be populated. As I mentioned before, you can type that manually if you want, but you know, what's the point? So if we do workspaces minus v, actually now what's that command? I believe it's workspace. I keep typing workspaces. So if you do v for verbose mode, that's gonna display general information about the workspaces. And as you could see, I've been practicing and doing and testing and creating different workspaces, and I've been collecting different information. But you can see that you have your host services and any detected vulnerabilities, and you can loot if you want and write notes on that. So if I go to my, I believe it's my main, okay, I was adding hosts right here. So remember that collecting information takes time. That, I mean, like, it's great to use automatic tools for that, but it takes time for you to collect the information. So that I believe is Paris. Oh. maybe default. Anyway, so this is what I wanted to show you, that you have to keep running different scan options to populate some of the fields here, and other fields you can type in manually. For instance, if I want to come here to this host and I would like to add information of that, so you would do, remember, if you type the command host minus age, that's going to display the information about host. You can add, remove, delete. You can do that right from here. Let's say that I want to delete this host because it's not relevant to what I'm going to be working on in this specific workspace. You could do host minus D and you type the IP address, right? And it says that it was deleted. If you do it again, you're not going to see it there. So I mean, you understand this. This is not rocket science. You do host minus H, and you're going to see all the options that you're going to have to work with host. Now, the other command that I wanted to talk to you about is services. This is very important. Now, remember, I already ran this scan and I have all that information collected. So if I do services, that's going to show me all the services, in this case, the ports, and information about the ports that I have for the scan that I rent. So as you could see, if you have a large network, you're going to have a large number of services in your database. But if you want to sort for something specific, you could do that just by typing services minus P and the port. P stands for the port. If you're looking for telnet, let's say uh, port 23, and that's going to display all the uh, servers or devices running that specific port or service that you're looking for. So again, you can do services minus H, and that's going to show you information about services where you can add, delete, help, order, so on and so forth. So what did we get in this video? Number one, database, right? If you're working in Kali Linux and you're using Metasploit, that is already pre-configured for you. I also said that I was going to create a video of how to install Metasploit from scratch, and I'll get to it at one point. We talked about that once you have the database properly configured, you're going to be able to create workspaces, and workspaces are, as the name implies, spaces where you're going to organize your data within your database in a logical way. So you can separate your work as you move from one network to the other. You can have an individual workspace for that. Once you create a workspace, you need to start populating the workspaces by running scans. And we talked about running Nmap, the database version of Nmap, so you can start populating your workspaces. And once you populate that, we talked about the host commands, which is going to list all the hosts that were detected within your scan and the services that were detected. We also talked about getting help on this command by doing the minus H after the command, or you're going to be able to further customize the information that you collected. So I'm going to post the video right here. I'm going to call this Metasploit Fundamentals 101.3 because this is the third video. If you find this information useful, all I ask you is just to click on the like button, subscribe to my channel, and leave a nice comment, right? It's a beautiful day out there. Why not leave a good comment, for everybody else to see it and for me to see? Anyway, I'll talk to you on the next video and have a great day.